Falls-Windsor Council. Before we get into the regular order of business tonight, we got a couple things we want to take care of, a proclamation, but before we get into the proclamation, we got some special guests here again tonight, and as customary for the town of Grand Falls-Windsor, we do have occasions through the year when we ask our citizens to get into the spirit of the season, and in this case, we're celebrating the Christmas season, and we asked our winners of our Light Up for Christmas contest to join us here this evening for check presentations. So without further ado, I'll get right into that. And first of all, I guess we'll start with the honorable mentions. 3 addresses I have there. I guess those people or friends of those people will know who live at those locations. There's no names attached to them, but honorable mention goes to 39 Snow Crescent, also 121 Lincoln Road, and 106 McHugh Street. So congratulations to those 3 property owners for their efforts in decorating their houses and properties for Christmas. And now I'll get into the big prize winners. We first of all have 3rd place winners from 6 Pondview Drive, Derek Stroud. I believe Derek is here. You want to come up, Derek, and get your big check? Congratulations, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for doing a good job on your property once again. I know you're busy with it all the time. You always do a good job.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Derek. And Derek, as I mentioned, I know also in our Best Blooming Gardens contest, I think Derek does quite well on that too. So congratulations to you guys on that. Moving along, the 2nd place prize winners in the Light Up for Christmas contest 2015, Christopher and Joanne Monette. And I don't believe they're here, so we'll just hold on to their prize and make sure they get it. And now we'll move on to the 1st place prize winners. Boy, what can I say? These kids, no strangers to our chambers here. And once again, they did an outstanding job on their property at 114 Goodyear Avenue. And I'll ask now for Kellyanne and Aiden to come up, Kellyanne and Aiden Sheridan, to come up and accept their check for 1st place. And the winners, of course, children Dr. James and Candace Sheridan. Come on up, guys. This is becoming old hand for you now. Congratulations once again. Kellyanne, good job. So you guys, I guess we always ask you what your plans are to do with the prize money. So you got any ideas for this one?
No, not really. Well, it's going to go into our education.
And someone mentioned there before the meeting that you must have enough for your 1st year already, right? You guys are regular winners. You did a fantastic job once again this year. Any special themes or anything for outside of the obvious Christmas one?
We didn't really do a theme for Christmas.
Christmas is the obvious theme, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, guys, congratulations once again for being our 1st place award winner, and I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for taking pride and taking the effort to do such a good job with your property. So here's a check. You guys both take it together, I assume. We'll get a picture taken here. Let Dad get a shot. Excellent. Thanks again, guys. And congratulations to everybody in the community that do take the time. I know driving around, there's a lot of properties in town did a fantastic job, not just the ones that were mentioned here tonight, but definitely worthy of highlighting the ones that we did, and congratulations to all the prize winners. Okay, we'll move along now. We have a proclamation here in regards to Heritage Day 2016. And I'll go ahead and read the proclamation. Whereas the 3rd Monday in February is recognized provincially as Heritage Day, and whereas Heritage Day is a time to reflect on the achievement of past generations and to accept responsibility for protecting our heritage, and whereas our citizens should be encouraged to celebrate Newfoundland and Labrador's uniqueness and to rejoice in their heritage and environment, and whereas in 2016, the residents of Grand Falls-Windsor will celebrate their rich and diverse heritage. Therefore, I, Barry Manuel, Mayor of the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor, do hereby proclaim that February 15th, 2016, as Heritage Day in Grand Falls, Windsor, and call upon all citizens to celebrate the richness of our past and the promise of our future. And I'll sign these. And pass them along to the town manager. Thank you, sir. Okay, now that we got that business out of the way, I'd like to officially call the meeting number 457 to order. Before we get into the regular business, we got the adoption of the minutes of meeting number 456. Any errors or omissions? Hearing none, look for a mover to accept those. Councillor Moores, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. Any business arising out of the minutes? Hearing none. Move right along to the disbursement report. Councillor Pinsent.
I'd like to move that the disbursement report of $866,218.53 be adopted.
Okay, the disbursement report has been moved by Councillor Pinsent, seconded by Councillor Cody Davis. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Correspondence. We do have one piece of correspondence to deal with, and of course it's no secret to anybody out there now that we do have a councillor who will be leaving us very soon. And we've got a letter of resignation here from Councillor Mercer. So I would ask that we get a mover and a seconder so we can officially adopt this into the record. Moved by Councillor Cody Davis, second by Councillor Moores. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. And Councillor Mercer's resignation will be effective February the 5th. So basically not officially finished as of yet, next Friday. And of course, we will talk a little bit after, I guess, about the by-election that's coming up. Committee reports, Economic Development and Tourism. Councillor Cody Davis.
The Economic Development and Tourism Committee met Monday, January 11th at 4:30. In attendance, Mayor Manuel, Deputy Mayor Finn, Councillors Cody Davis, Moores, and staff included Mike Pinsent, Town Manager Clerk. Non-registered business activity. Council has received reports that there are home-based businesses doing work in town that are not registered as a business with the town. The committee recommends that staff continue to contact the operators and ensure they are conforming to the home-based business regulations. Brand purchases. The committee recommends that all brand purchases and town stationery purchases in 2016 will have the 25th anniversary logo. The committee requests that staff research the quantities required for the entire year and invite tenders for the yearly supply as opposed to several purchases throughout the year. The A&D Company. The committee reviewed the A&D Company minutes of the last meeting held on November 25th of 2015 and recommends their acceptance. 2015 business statistics. The committee reviewed a report outlining the new businesses that opened and closed in 2015. There were 35 new businesses open in 2015 compared to 44 in 2014. There were 18 businesses closed in 2015 compared to 16 in 2014. Youth Mental Health Workshop. In 2015, the town worked with the medical community on a number of projects, including youth mental health. The town's role is to help facilitate an action plan to bring stakeholders together for education. Funding has been approved for $10,000, and the committee recommends that staff continue to assist in organizing a 2-day workshop in Grand Falls, Windsor, focusing on youth mental health. Review of healthy aging strategy. The committee reviewed a report from the Business Development Officer outlining the activities of the Age-Friendly Committee. There was a seniors fair held on October 1st, 2015 that had attendance of 440 seniors. There was a National Senior Isolation Conference held in Grand Falls, Windsor on October 20th of 2015. A senior wellness hub has been created as our online resource for seniors, and this includes a series of 9 two-minute videos discussing important topics specific to seniors' wellness. The hub will be launched late in January of 2016. The Age-Friendly Committee, as part of their strategy and action plan, hosted a half-day conference on a Meals on Wheels initiative on November 25, 2015. A meeting of several community partners was held on November 30th, 2015, and a subsequent meeting will be held on January 18th, 2016, to move the process forward. Genomic Hearing Loss Center announcement. The tentative date for the funding for the Genomic Hearing Loss Center has been tentatively scheduled for February 5th, 2016. This amount will involve all partners, including the Provincial Department of Business, ACOA, Town of Grand Falls-Windsor, Memorial University, McMaster's University, and the University of Western Ontario. School of Nursing. The committee reviewed data showing that Central Health will have a significant shortage of nurses over the next 5 years. By the end of 2020, 139 of the 800 nurses will be eligible for retirement, and there are currently 55 vacancies. The committee recommends that a meeting be arranged with the Minister of Health and the Minister of Advanced Education and Skills to continue discussions on the need for a satellite School of Nursing in Grand Falls-Windsor. The meeting adjourned at 6:15. I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
It's been moved by Councillor Cody Davis, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any discussion on the motion?
One thing, Mr. Mayor. With the Youth Mental Health Workshop, it says funding has been approved for $10,000, and that funding was the result of an application to a government agency or a government funding program, the Collaborative Initiative Fund, and it's not council's money, it's money that we applied for on behalf of this initiative.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Town Manager, clarifying that. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Now, before we get into this Parks, Recreation, and Special Events, I got to back up for a minute. I got ahead of myself a little bit before the meeting started. We were going through the Light Up for Christmas contest. I was giving out checks left, right, and center, and I forgot about one very important award winner. And I noticed the plaque there and the gentleman sitting down in the back, and I'm going to ask him to come forward very shortly. But we also, the Town of Grand Falls-Windsor, provide an award and present it to the best decorated commercial property in town, and it's the Arthur Bishop Memorial Award. So it's a very important one, and I'd like to do that now instead of getting this particular business owner to sit here all night waiting. My apologies, by the way, for overlooking you earlier, but I did recognize that I had done that and wanted to wait for Councillor Cody Davis to get through economic development. So now I'd like to ask Paul Howard to come forward, the owner of Riverview Motors on Lincoln Road, 75 Lincoln Road, and to get this plaque to proudly hang in his business. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Barry.
Congratulations.
Oh, my pleasure. On behalf of the staff, I greatly accept this. They're the ones that did this to our business. It's their idea, and they're the ones that deserve the credit.
Right on. Well said, Paul, and thank you very much, and I hope you continue to do that in the future.
Certainly.
Right on. Thank you again.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Well, sometimes you do get ahead of yourself a little bit, but I'm glad I recognize that, and congratulations to Riverview Motors, the award winner, and as well all the businesses in town that took the time to decorate their businesses this Christmas season. You're excused now, Paul, yes. You might have noticed there when Councillor Cody Davis was doing the economic development minutes, I vaulted from my chair. I noticed that Paul may have been leaving, so I had to chase him down. I didn't want to slight him for sure, so we got him back and got the award out appropriately, so I'm glad to be able to do that. Moving right along, the Parks, Recreation, and Special Events Committee minutes, Councillor Moores.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Parks and Rec met on January the 13th at 4:30. In attendance was Mayor Barry Manuel as chair, Councillors Amy Cody Davis, Darren Finn, Tom Pinson, Rodney Mercer, and myself. Staff included Mike Pinson, Town Manager, Keith Antler, Director of Parks and Rec. 25th Anniversary Celebrations. The committee discussed possible events for the 25th Anniversary Grand Falls-Windsor Amalgamation Ceremonies. The committee advised the Director of Parks and Rec to contact user groups who might be interested in hosting an event and finalize the schedule of activities for the media release in late January. Correspondence from the Sparkling Blades Figure Skating Club. The committee discussed correspondence from the Sparkling Blades Figure Skating Club requesting their club's year-end show be held on April the 17th. The committee recommends this request be approved and the Director of Parks and Recreation contact the Figure Skating Club to make the necessary arrangements for their show. Correspondence, Billy Graham Association. The committee discussed correspondence from the Billy Graham Association of Canada requesting a Celebration of Hope event in the Joe Byrne Memorial Stadium in November of 2016. The committee recommended this request be approved and the Director of Parks and Recreation to work out the booking details. Winterlude update. The Director of Parks and Recreation presented a tentative schedule for the Winterlude Winter Carnival. Special events are to be finalized this week. The committee invites residents and groups to contact the Parks and Rec Department if they wish to include an event in our carnival, which is scheduled for February the 12th to the 15th. Score Clock sponsorship. The Director of Parks and Recreation presented the tender results of the Score Clock sponsorship agreement for the Joe Byrne Memorial Stadium. The committee recommends the proposal from Coca-Cola be approved. Washroom baby change tables. The Director of Parks and Rec presented the details to install baby change tables in the Joe Byrne Memorial and the Windsor Stadium washrooms. The committee recommended that these be installed. The Blue Jays Cares Foundation grant. The committee discussed the grant of the Grand Falls-Windsor Minor Baseball Association in applying for to bring the Blue Jays camp to Grand Falls-Windsor again this summer. The committee recommends the Director of Parks and Recreation work with the Minor Baseball Association to complete this grant application. The 100th anniversary of Beaumont Ammo funding. The Director of Parks and Rec informed the committee of possible funding through a grant from the Veterans Affairs. The committee directed the Assistant Director, Recreation Director to complete the appropriate funding application to assist with the town's plan to renovate the memorial grounds for the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Beaumont Hamel. Cataracts Wall of Champions. The committee discussed the plans of the Grand Falls-Windsor Cataracts to install a plaque in the Joe Byrne Memorial Stadium to honor all the earlier champions from Grand Falls-Windsor. The committee directed the Parks and Rec staff to work with the Cataract Hockey Club to install this plaque at the next Cataract Games on January 23rd. Winter program update. The Director of Parks and Recreation presented an update on the registration for our winter program. Several of these programs are filled to capacity already. Any resident interested in our programs can call the Parks and Rec Department to check the Park and Rec winter brochure, which was delivered to all households last week. Midwinter Beaver update. The Director of Parks and Rec gave an update on the Midwinter Beaver, which is scheduled for February the 19th and the 20th. Things are going well, and residents are encouraged to register online at www.midwinterbeaver.com. The event is a guaranteed good time with a canoe ride to the Mount Peyton, gourmet meals from Chef Roy McPherson, and entertainment from Snook. Dog park directional signage. The committee received correspondence from several citizens about the lack of signage around town and on the highway to get to our dog park. The committee directed the Director of Parks and Rec to install signage in the appropriate area to better direct citizens and visitors to our dog park. The meeting adjourned at 8 o'clock, and I move the recommendation and report of this committee.
It's been moved by Councillor Morris, the adoption of the park, seconded by Councillor Cody Davis. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, I got a couple of things just to note, comments mainly, and without going through everything again, there was mention of the washroom tables in the Joe Byrne and the Windsor stadiums. I thought we had said that we were going to install them at the splash pad as well. Any?
I think there was discussion on that. I thought we said we initially put them in those places, and if need, we can put them in the new splash pad area as well.
Okay, thank you for that, and I'm sure we'll have further discussion on that. Winter programs, it was mentioned there the town has some new winter programs at the offer, and we keep talking about all the offerings that the Parks and Recreation Department have and a lot of new things, and they've been very successful. I just want to go through a few of the things that are offered by the town. Some of these are full to capacity, but others there is still space. The Jiu-Jitsu, which runs 3 nights a week and has 2 adult classes and 1 children's class. They have an average of 10 to 12 people per night, and space is still open for that. A GPS course, which will be offering in February, and there's around 10 spaces left in that. Hip-hop dance in partnership with Y2C. There's 2 classes of 20 that are both full already, so it shows the interest in that, but it looks like they may add an extra class. Fresh Start Theatre and Northcliffe Drama, both looking for interested persons in their upcoming productions now in the spring. And Youth and Fitness in partnership with the Exploits Community Centre, and that's to provide recreational opportunities for disadvantaged youth. And there's 15 spaces that are all full. Seniors in Technology is something that'll be starting on February the 29th, and that'll be advertised soon. And there's also a 6-week-long cooking course. 30 people and 2 sessions have been filled up, and there's a full waiting list as well. So that's good to see, and obviously a lot of interest in people learning how to cook. Let's Get Moving, Fun and Fitness for 2 to 5-year-olds will also start in February. There's also special events in that plan, so the best thing I could say is that if anybody's interested in any of these programs or want more information, contact the Parks and Rec Department at 489-0450. Just wanted to mention that. And the Cataracts Wall of Fame, I had the opportunity, myself and Mayor Blackmore, the first mayor of the town of Grand Falls-Windsor, kicked off, I guess, officially the 25th anniversary birthday of Grand Falls-Windsor at the Cataracts Wall of Fame and dropped the puck. And people will be hearing a lot more about the 25th anniversary from us and in our advertising and social media. We're going to be doing a lot of events to celebrate. And one thing I would like to mention, in case you haven't heard yet, we'll be having 25 free weeks of skating. So the regular skating programs will be free of charge. So if you already take part, you're going to get a break. And if you don't, there's a good opportunity to get out. And of course, the regular rules apply now with the helmet policy and that. So again, if you want to go down for a skate, you're not sure how to go about it, it's free of charge, and you can contact the Recreation Department to get more information at 0450. Just wanted to mention those couple of things. So with that said, we've got a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Aye. Contrary minded? Motion carried. Committee to whole. There's 2 sets of committee to whole minutes. Deputy Mayor Finn.
Thank you, Mayor. The committee of the whole met on January 5th at 7 p.m. Present were Mayor Emanuel, Councillors Amy Cody Davis, Councillors Bruce Moores, Councillors Tom Pinson, Councillor Rodney Mercer by telephone, and myself. Among staff present, Town Manager Mike Pinsent, Director of Engineering Works Jeff Saunders, Director of Parks and Recreation Keith Antle, and Director of Finance Barry Griffin. Parks and Recreation Director. The committee met with Keith Antle during the job, regarding the job of Director of Parks and Recreation. The structure of the department was reviewed and specific goals and objectives will be discussed at a future Parks and Recreation meeting. The committee recommends that the department have a director and an assistant director responsible for leisure services and special projects. Council vacancy. The committee recommends that the by-election will take place on March 8, 2016. 25th anniversary celebrations. The committee recommends that the Parks and Recreation Committee be the lead department for the 25th anniversary celebration events. A number of mock-ups for the letterhead and logo were discussed, as well as potential special events throughout the year. Meeting with the ministers. The committee recommends that the mayor and town manager arrange meetings with the newly appointed provincial government ministers to discuss issues specific to the town of Grand Falls-Windsor. Meetings to be requested are meeting with the Minister of Justice to discuss the disparity in the level of policing, RCMP policing, the specific needs for more RCMP officers, and the need for more sheriffs and guards. To arrange a meeting with the Minister of Advanced Education and Skills to discuss the School of Nursing, to discuss the College of the North Atlantic Lab Tech Program and labs, and to discuss the expansion of medical trades. To arrange a meeting with the Minister of Municipal Affairs to discuss Crown land issues, Capital Works Program, the Municipalities Act, and the Excite mortgage. To arrange a meeting with the Minister of Works, Services and Transportation, our own former Mayor Al Huckins, to discuss the Grand Falls House, to discuss the Mill Land and Arterial Road, and to discuss the Trans-Canada Highway repairs at the weigh scales and around the Mount Peyton Hotel. To arrange a meeting with the Minister of Health to discuss the business of healthcare prospects, to discuss medical trades in Grand Falls-Windsor, to discuss the School of Nursing, to discuss the MUN residency, and discuss genetics hearing loss research. To arrange a meeting with the Minister of Forestry and Agriculture, to discuss fiber industrial prospects, to discuss wood allocation and usage, to discuss cranberry potential and industry development, to discuss healthy aging program, and to discuss long-term care, palliative care, and geriatric care. To arrange a meeting with the Minister of Natural Resources to discuss power for the data center and to discuss Nalcor and data center customers. To arrange a meeting with the Minister of Education to discuss the Maple Street High School, which is the former GFA High School. The committee structures. The committee recommends the following chairs of standing committees. Finance and Administration, Councillor Tom Pinson. Engineering, Public Works and Planning, Councillor Amy Cody Davis. Parks, Recreation and Leisure Services, Councillor Bruce Moores. Economic Development and Tourism, Councillor Darren Finn. 2016 Salmon Festival, Mayor Barry Manuel. The meeting adjourned at 10 p.m. Mr. Mayor, I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Finn, seconded by Councillor Moores. Any discussion on the motion? Once again, I'll chime in here. First of all, as is reflected in the minutes, I think congratulations are in order tonight. At our last meeting before Christmas, we said farewell to our Recreation Director of some 36 years, I believe Mr. Nichols had in. And I'm pleased to announce that our new Parks and Recreation Director is Mr. Keith Antle, who's here with us tonight. And Keith brings with him 26 years of experience here at the town of Grand Falls-Windsor. And more than capable, as we know, of doing the work that's required, and I know he's excited about the challenge ahead, and I just wanted to formalize it and congratulate you here tonight, Keith. So congratulations to our new Parks and Recreation Director. The by-election was also mentioned there. As everybody knows, there's some pretty significant interest with 7 people, I believe, so far coming forward. Of course, we won't know the full slate of candidates until February 16th, nomination day. But just like to say how pleased council is to see so much interest in a couple of vacant seats that we got here now. And A lot of people looking to get in those 2 seats, and we're anxious to have whoever it is join us soon, and wish all the candidates good luck. A lot of strong candidates there, a lot of diverse candidates there, you know. It's a good slate so far, and we'll have to see on February the 16th if that remains the same or changes. But I just wanted to wish good luck and point out that due to the by-election, we have adjusted our formal council meeting schedule a little bit. We were scheduled to meet 3 weeks from tonight, but we're going to push that February 16th meeting back to February 23rd, because February 16th is nomination night. And then, of course, we were supposed to meet on March the 8th, which is actually the by-election night. So we've got both those meetings pushed back a week to February 23rd and March 15th. And March 15th meeting then would allow us to have 2 new councillors sworn in here in a timely fashion, and then we can get down to business with a full slate of councillors. And the minister meetings, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but I will tell you that myself and the town manager did travel to St. John's last week on January the 18th and 19th. We were successful in getting meetings with 6 out of 8 ministers that we requested meetings with. That's pretty good, 75%. That's a pretty good average, I think. And the meetings went quite well. We went through everything that you just heard about, really, and then some. They were very accommodating, gave us a lot of their time, and it was a good relationship-building exercise, too, for us with the new government. It's important for us, of course, to build a good relationship with the governing party. And we had some good meetings with the ministers. And again, I won't get into all the details of what came out of it, but when we left to go home, I think we both felt that they were productive meetings, and hopefully bode well for future in a lot of these issues and others as well. Okay. The only other thing I'll mention before Councillor Finn speaks, if I could, just to finish up my comments, Deputy Mayor Finn, is the committee structure. It's mentioned there we've got the chairs changed. That won't actually take effect until after the by-election. Of course, we do realize there are 2 more councillors coming into chambers, and once we find out who they are, then we will finalize all those committees and have the committee structures in place for adoption by the time the March 15th meeting comes around. Councillor Finn.
Yes, Mayor, actually, your last point was exactly what I was rising to my feet to discuss, which was we had named in this set of minutes who the committee chairs would be for the next period. But the next set of minutes will show that we have decided to defer the organization of committees until after the by-election, which council thought was a fair approach to going forward with the full council. So I was just going to clarify that point, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder for the first set of committee to whole minutes. And any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. Committee to the whole minutes number 2. Deputy Mayor Finn.
Mr. Mayor, the committee of the whole met on Wednesday, January 20th at 7 p.m. Present were Mayor Barry Manuel, Councillors Amy Cody Davis, Councillor Bruce Moores, Councillor Tom Pinsent, and myself. Among staff present, Michael Pinsent, Barry Griffin, Jeff Saunders, and Keith Antle. Provincial budget consultation. The committee discussed the format of the town's submission to the 2016 provincial budget consultation. It was recommended that the School of Nursing and the Lab Tech trade be included with documentation of the need for these programs in terms of statistics. Also, these projects would be presented as best case cost alternatives to provide personnel for the long-term sustainability of the Health Care Authority in Central Newfoundland. Other issues would be taxation of municipalities, continuing infrastructure funding to stimulate local economies, and decentralization of government business processing operations to our community as a more productive and cost-effective alternative. The 25th anniversary celebration, the committee recommends that a letter accompany the town's mail-out of tax statements regarding the 25th anniversary celebration. The mayor will issue a media release at the end of month launching our logo and plan for the year. The committee structure. The committee recommends that changes to the committee structure be delayed until after the election. The by-election. The by-election will be held on March 8, 2016. The advance poll on Saturday, March 5, 2016. And nomination day on Tuesday, February 16, 2016. Central Newfoundland Regional Appeal Board. The Central Newfoundland Regional Appeal Board heard 2 appeals on Thursday, January 14, 2016. These were the demolition orders on properties at 1 2nd Avenue and the Hunter property on Ivneys Road. Both orders were confirmed in the town's favor. The committee recommends that staff work with the owners to have these buildings removed. Mr. Mayor, I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Finn. It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Finn. Looking for a seconder, Councillor Pinsent. Any discussion on those minutes? Councillor Finn.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Just in relation to the public budget consultations, there was one issue here that I wanted to expand on in terms of what it meant in our minutes, and it was the decentralization of government business processing operations to our community. And that deals with an initiative that's going on with health boards in Newfoundland and Labrador to centralize the corporate services components of running health boards, the HR, the payroll, the payables, the receivables, that business component. And our council is putting forward a position that work it can be centralized for the benefit of all the health board authorities. It can certainly be distributed across the province in terms of the work getting accomplished or getting completed, and the work, all of those workers do not need to be centralized in one location. And so obviously we present our community as a headquarters location, as a location that should have the, while they centralize their business processing operation, we maintain a component of that for the benefit of our community. It creates employment, obviously, or maintains employment. And arguably, there are many advantages to the provincial government in selecting rural communities to carry out this work, namely lower lease rates and stable workforce and skilled workforce. So, I mean, there are reasons why this would make sense. All of these functions will have to go on with government no matter what goes on in the future. And that's what that element of our presentation to the provincial government will be in the budget consultations coming up in the next couple of weeks. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Finn. Yeah, it's there's a couple of examples actually just to add on to Deputy Mayor's points there in Grand Falls-Windsor with the home heating rebate facility providing service, and MCP. That's been there long-standing, and those benefits that you outlined there with stable workforce, particularly skilled workforce, and lower lease rates certainly hold true with those, and they've been very successful here, and we think that the consolidation of the health services could very well do the same for the provincial government, and well said, Deputy Mayor Finn. Okay, we've got a mover and a seconder for the second set of committee to whole minutes. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. Finance and Administration, Councillor Pinsent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's nice to be able to call you Mr. Mayor and not acting mayor. I know what to call you now. So that's good to see. Pardon me?
Finally got a name.
Finally got a name. Well, we've been calling you a few names, and some of them have been different, but we do it in a loving way. Finance and Administration Committee meeting was held on Thursday, January 14th at 4:30 p.m. In attendance, Mayor Barry Manuel, Councillor Darren Finn, Councillors Bruce Moores, Amy Cody Davis, myself as Chair, Barry Griffin as Director of Finance, and Mike Pinson, Town Manager. Job description, Assistant Director of Parks and Recreation and Leisure Services. The community reviewed the proposed job description for Assistant Director of Parks, Recreation and Leisure Services. The committee recommends it be approved as a job class 5. Tax collection policy, tax recovery plan. The committee reviewed the tax collection policy and recommends it be accepted. The committee noted that staff will continue its efforts to maximize collection of outstanding taxes through the implementation of a tax recovery plan adopted by council. Taxes, 52 King Street. The committee reviewed correspondence for recovery of taxes on 52 King Street. The committee recommends acceptance of this plan. Cash collection report. My throat is a bit dry this evening. The committee reviewed the taxation receivable report as of December 31st. The total taxes outstanding as of that date are $838,635.48, a decrease of $62,027.65, negative 6.89% from the previous year. Year-end labor report. The committee reviewed the budget year-end labor report. Total labor year-to-date is $3,117,185,000, a budget of $3,109,665, which is a 0.2% over budget. The committee was extremely pleased with the small amount of variance on this large budget item. Municipal Assessment Agency. The committee reviewed financial statements from the Municipal Assessment Agency for the year ended March 31st, 2015. The committee noted that the revenues for the year were in line with the expenses, resulting in a modest loss of $2,491. Committee recommends that the representatives of municipalities Newfoundland and Labrador continue to monitor the financial performance of the Municipal Assessment Agency. Committee also recommends that these statements be accepted. Banking annual leave. The committee reviewed a request for banking 1-week annual leave. The committee recommends that the policy, as attached, be amended to allow for senior staff with over 10 years experience, 10 years service, but less than 20 years of service be permitted to bank 1 week vacation per year. Funding request. The committee reviewed a request from the Kiwanis Club to sponsor the Royal Canadian 1916 Beaumont-Hamel Army Cadet Corps to travel to Beaumont-Hamel, France to attend the 100th anniversary memorial service of the Battle of Beaumont-Hamel. The committee recommends $1,500 be approved. The committee reviewed a request from the Miss Grand Falls-Windsor pageant for funding. The committee recommends $1,000 be approved. The committee received a request for sponsorship of the Paminco curling event. The committee recommends $363 be approved. The committee received a request from the Nolan Smith Memorial Snowmobile Ride Planning Committee. The committee recommends $200 be approved, plus a supply of town-branded merchandise be approved. Land lease Whitmore Street. The committee reviewed the land leases for Whitmore Street. The committee recommends that the town dispose of these properties. The committee also recommends that the Public Works and Planning Committee establish prices for disposal and contact the current occupants with offers to purchase. Assessment Review Commissioner, in compliance with Section 32 of the Assessment Act 2006, the committee recommends that Brian Blackmore be appointed Assessment Review Commissioner for 2016. The meeting adjourned at 7:30 p.m. I move the recommendations and report of this committee.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pinson. It's been moved by Councillor Pinson, seconded by Councillor Morris. Any discussion, comments on the minutes? Hearing none. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried. Public Works and Planning, Deputy Mayor Finn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Works and Planning Committee met on January 12th at 4:30 p.m. Present were Councillor Amy Cody Davis, Councillor Tom Pinson, Councillor Bruce Moores, Councillor Rodney Mercer by conference call, and Mayor Barry Manuel, and myself, of course. Among staff present, Town Manager Mike Pinson, Director of Engineering Works Jeff Saunders. Capital Works. The committee reviewed and discussed the documents that were presented. The capital investment plan for the gas tax funding had to be revised. The allocation included too much federal contribution as a percentage, maximum 33%, to the upgrading of the water and sewer for 2nd Avenue. The new capital investment plan proposes $625,000 be allocated for the new roundabout at Scott, Granville Heights, Hardy Avenue intersection, and $140,000 to the paving of 2nd Avenue when the upgrading is complete. There was also realignment of the existing funding allocation due to project overruns and/or projects having a surplus. It was all within the existing funding agreements, so no new money was required. The surface course asphalt for Hardy Avenue and the roundabout is proposed to be postponed until the next funding agreement. This money will be redirected to other municipal streets for 2016. The committee recommends that the new capital investment plan and the new Schedule A attached be approved. Correspondence, Mr. and Mrs. McDonald. The committee discussed a land request from Mr. and Mrs. McDonald for the end of Cater Avenue. Municipal services would have to be extended, and this would be completed by the town and costs recovered from the land sale. The committee recommends that due to the shape of the land, that it be sold at 50% of the normal rate of $625 per foot frontage. Legal, survey, and HST costs are extra. Land development, Bank Road. The committee reviewed the sketch for a residential building on Bank Road. The committee recommends offering this parcel of land for sale and asks staff to review the water and sewer services and road upgrades if Bank Road is connected with Gilbert Street. Correspondence, Windsor Pentecostal Church. The committee reviewed the correspondence from the Windsor Pentecostal Church requesting permission to construct an access road from Sprucewood to the church property. They will be operating a lunch and after-school child care center in September 2016. The existing walking trail requires widening to improve proper snow clearing during the winter. The committee recommends this request be approved pending approval of the Sprucewood School Administration. Land sale, Cartwright Street, O'Neill Avenue. The committee reviewed the request for proposals for land disposal at the intersection of Cartwright Street and O'Neill Avenue. There were two bids received, Mr. Horwood, $55,841, and Mr. Power, $58,760. The bid received from Mr. Horwood was qualified by a letter stating that he had a previous discussion and agreement in principle to purchase this property prior to the changes to in the Municipalities Act, stating land sales had to be advertised. Staff also obtained an opinion from legal counsel with respect to this issue, and the opinion supported the position of Mr. Horwood. The committee recommends that the land on Cartwright O'Neill Avenue be sold to Mr. Horwood. Zone change, Station Road, resolution to adopt. The committee discussed the process for the proposed zoning change for Station Road from commercial downtown to commercial highway. This was advertised in the local paper and no representation was received. The committee recommends that the amendment document be adopted. This will then be forwarded to Municipal Affairs for review and registration. LED sign at the Dominion property. The committee reviewed the request for a LED advertising sign adjacent to Dominion Store on Cromer Avenue. This sign would be on the town property. The committee recommends the request be approved in principle, and staff will discuss the following issues with the applicant. 1, the size. 2, the location. 2, the height and size. And 3, the lease rate for using town property. Staff will obtain this information and report back to the committee for further recommendations. Home-based business application, Glenwood Avenue. The committee discussed a home-based business application from Mr. Ireland at 1 Glenwood Avenue. This is for administration only. Equipment will be parked off-site. The committee recommends this application be approved. Discretionary use, 9 Ivanys Road. The committee reviewed the request for a home-based business at 9 Ivanys Road. This is a discretionary use and it was advertised. 1 objection was received. The applicant also provided comments on the concerns raised by the neighbor. The committee recommends the application be approved, but conditions with respect to the concerns raised will be included in the permit. Rezoning the mill property. At a previous meeting, council recommended rezoning the mill property to prevent further industrial developments along the exploits. Nalcor has ownership of a parcel along the river to support the hydro generation facility. The committee recommends that all lands outside the Nalcor parcel that is zoned heavy, industrial heavy, be rezoned to recreational open space. In addition, the committee also recommends electrical power generation facilities, not including burning of fossil fuels, and supporting infrastructure be added to the definition of public services in order for such use to be considered and facilitated and classified under the principal use in conservation zone. The committee therefore also recommends that the Nalcor parcel be rezoned from heavy industry, industrial heavy to conservation. Bella Line, small cell license agreement. The committee discussed an agreement presented by Bella Line for the installation of small cell technology units to boost cell reception in certain areas. All locations will have to be approved prior to any installation. The committee recommends this be approved. Correspondence, Mr. Dawson, Center for Forest Science and Innovation. The committee discussed correspondence from Mr. Dawson and recommends a meeting be arranged. Central Newfoundland Waste Management, minutes of the board meeting from December 10, 2015. The minutes of the Central Newfoundland Waste Management Board meeting were circulated as information. The meeting adjourned at 7:30 p.m. Mr. Mayor, I move the recommendation and report of this committee.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Finn. It's been moved by Deputy Mayor Finn. Looking for a seconder. Councillor Pinsent. Any discussion on the minutes of Public Works? Deputy Mayor Finn.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to just comment generally on our request for rezoning the mill property. Because there was an article written in the newspaper this past week that spoke about it in terms of what was basically, on trying to muse about what council's motivation was in rezoning that land. And, the current situation is we have an industrial heavy site, which means anything goes that's, from a heavy industry point of view. Can go on that site. And so we have how this town evolved. We had a mill built on a river because it was required to build on a river in the time of the period that was originally built because of the electrical needs that it had. And a town built around it. So if you were going to build that mill today, that would never be built on a river in the middle of a town. So the reverse situation would never happen. So unfortunately, the mill has closed, and that particular chapter has ended. So the site is being remediated, and I think that council is being prudent in rezoning the land and rezoning it from my perspective, and I'm sure I share the view of council, so that we control the use of that land in terms of what can go there in the future. Because if you have land that's zoned left at industrial heavy, it's only a matter of a business coming in and saying, we're industrial heavy, I need a permit, and you're pretty much good to go after some environmental checks and balances, probably with the province. So I think our initiative to rezone the property to recreation open space is the best thing for this community. It is land that's on a river. It's a land that's right in the middle of our town. And to allow heavy industry to go on that site in the future is probably not something this council would choose, or other councils in the future, whatever, if an opportunity ever came up. But I'll also add, Mr. Mayor, from my point of view, that I would suspect that if a heavy industry were to ever come back, and of course we're hopeful that something will come from the fiber resources, government still continues to work on that front to get something so we can get the fiber utilized that's available in our region. It's good black spruce, they says is the best in the world. But if something were to ever come to develop so that we actually had heavy industry back here, it's not likely they would choose that site anyway. I'm sure they would choose something more remote. Power can be wheeled to a new location. They certainly wouldn't want to be on a river. I would doubt they would want to be on a river because of the fear of contamination and I doubt you would ever get a permit anymore, either federally or provincially in those regulations. And I don't attest to know what those regulations are, to put something heavy industry right on a river, right on the ocean for that matter, without a lot of conditions in place. So, you know, I think, you know, it allows, the zoning change allows us to be in the driver's seat. And I say we, council, on behalf of the citizens, in terms of what that land gets used for. If something did come up that did warrant the use of that site, council still has the choice and option to reconsider or consider other zoning uses for it in the future. A zoning change is not a change forever. It can be changed back if there was a business case, if there was a community case, if there was an environmental case. If all those cases aligned, we could, Mr. Mayor, have something heavy industry back on that site if it was the right heavy industry. So I just wanted to make that point, Mr. Mayor. So yeah, I was just checking down through some notes I had on that particular topic, Mr. Mayor, and that was the points I think that needed to be made. I think the site itself, notwithstanding like the 100+ years of heavy industrial use, that site is a gem in comparable to anything in the world, if it's developed in the right way. So having a recreation open space, it's on a beautiful falls, large fall, right downtown in our community. And it's the tourism potential that, you know, that does come with that river, a steep falls, a deep gorge, a beautiful river, untouched, and lots of potential for development. So, you know, council needed to make a zoning change to so we can carry on with our planning. We are looking, I will add, we're looking at what is called the Old Mill Stretch, if you recall, Mr. Mayor. We have a request that we take over that stretch of highway that will take you right from the Trans-Canada Highway down to and connect in with Scott Avenue. So it makes sense. At this period of time, with the information we have, and with the knowing that the demolition is going on, it makes sense for council to take control of the zoning of that land and develop it for the things that we know we can accomplish, the things that we know that are in our control. We don't know we don't know what heavy industry could possibly come. It's all being worked at, but certainly if it does come to fruition, there's nothing to say that it'll ever go on that site because it's in town, it's on a river, and the site is contaminated. So I would assume a provincial government would have to wash any new companies' responsibilities of environmental cleanups to go on to contaminated site. So I think the government wants to give up, to write off or to allow new businesses to come in free and clear of environmental responsibilities. So for all of those reasons, Mr. Mayor, I think, and those are the reasons why I supported rezoning the mill property so that we can continue on with our planning and do the things that I know that we can control.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Finn. Glad you went through all that. Actually, there's been some discussion around about some things around that property, the zoning, and the use of the fiber and otherwise. And as has been said before, I mean, there's a lot of planning to take place before anything happens down on that mill site or any of the properties that surround it. And public consultation will always be a big part of that. And when you talk about the fiber and the use of the fiber around, the citizens of the town should be assured that we are lobbying government on their behalf to try our very best to make sure that that fiber is utilized to the benefit of the people of Grand Falls, Windsor, and the surrounding region. And I'll just close by saying, you know, anytime anybody has any questions about what's going on, why we make a certain decision, what's going on, pick up the phone and give us a call. You know, my number is 489-0412. Be more than happy to talk to anybody at any time if you want something clarified or you want to know, because sometimes information gets out there, people form their opinions on limited information, and that can be somewhat dangerous at times.
Down there.
Absolutely, and that's part of the public consultation process. We already have one exercise where we ask the general public to give us ideas, and, you know, this is not something that's going to happen overnight. This is going to be a long-term process that I'm sure to be done in phases, and we will continue to engage the community in that process, and we're always open to communication and suggestions when it comes to what would happen down there or anywhere else in town for that matter. Mr. Town Manager?
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to reinforce what Deputy Mayor was saying. You know, I lived and worked in Labrador City for 8 or 9 years before I moved to Grand Falls, Windsor. And the proximity of the mill and the pellet plant in Labrador City did cause issues for the community. My hometown where I grew up in Clarenville, there's probably a couple of thousand people that commute every day to Bull Arm, to the oil refinery in Come Chance, or to Valley Inco in Long Harbour. Neither of these are close to a community. And we just made a response to the 5-year forestry plan that the government requested submissions for. And when you look at the areas, the former Abitibi areas for wood cutting, 10, 11, 12, and 13, I mean, all that activity is going to go on around us, but I'm sure that any heavy industry is going to be, you know, consuming a huge, huge volume of wood, of fiber, somewhere in the order of 400,000, 500,000 cubic meters per year. And if they're going to process something of that magnitude, it has to be shipped. And if they want to ship, they're going to want to be somewhat close to a port. So the logistics of placing the heavy industry on that particular site, you know, from my experience, just doesn't make any sense in this day and age. And like the Deputy Mayor says, transporting power from the power plant there is not difficult in this day and age like it was back in 1905.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Any other discussion on those minutes? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I just wanted to comment on one other thing, Deputy Mayor, Mayor Emanuel, before we move on with the vote, and that's the Bell Alliance Small Cell License Agreement. And that is just for the benefit of the public. Basically, it's a technology used by Bell and other cell phone providers, I presume, across North America and beyond, whereby they attach these cell phone booster stations on existing light poles and buildings to boost cell phone signals versus, you know, the 100-foot plus towers. So the public can expect to see over the coming years more of these. I'll say a box. I've never seen one myself. It looks like, in a picture, it looks like a box like about so big, you know. So not more than maybe 2 feet by 2 feet by 2 feet, and it could be smaller. It's hard to tell in the picture. There is really no reference, but it does attach to like light poles and buildings, and it does boost cell signal, and it is a more affordable way for them to deliver reliable cell phone signals. And in order to do that, they enter into licensing agreements with municipalities when they're bringing forward that technology. And that's what that minute of council is about.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor, and obviously those things a lot less intrusive as what they might have been at one point. Any other discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary minded? Motion carried. We have a few resolutions to adopt with regards to the by-election. I'll ask the Deputy Mayor to read those into the record. Yes, one at a time, if you would.
Sure. Just got to get them up here. So there are three resolutions. Resolution 1, nomination day for the by-election. Whereas that nomination day be held on Tuesday, February 16, 2016 at 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the town of Grand Falls, at the Grand Falls-Windsor Town Hall. Be it therefore resolved that the Town Council of Grand Falls-Windsor hereby designates nomination day as Tuesday, February 16, 2016, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Grand Falls-Windsor Town Hall. Mr. Mayor, I so move.
The resolution's been moved by Deputy Mayor Finn, seconded by Councillor Morris. Any discussion on the resolution? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Contrary-minded? Resolution passed. Carry on, Mr.
Thank you,
Deputy
Mr.
Mayor.
Mayor. Resolution, advance poll for by-election. Whereas that the advance poll will be held on Saturday, March 5th, 2016, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Department. Be it therefore resolved that the Town Council of Grand Falls-Windsor designate an advance poll to be held on Saturday, March 5th, 2016, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Grand Falls-Windsor Fire Department. Mr. Mayor, I so move.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Finn, seconded by Councillor Cody Davis. Any discussion on the resolution? All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Resolution passed. Number 3.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Resolution, returning officer for by-election. Whereas the town manager clerk and the deputy town clerk and the deputy town clerk be appointed as returning officer and the alternate returning officer, be it therefore resolved that the Town Council of Grand Falls-Windsor designate the town manager clerk and the deputy town clerk as returning officer and alternate returning officer. Mr. Mayor, I so move.
It's moved by Deputy Mayor Finn, seconded by Councillor Cody Davis. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Contrary-minded? Resolution passed. Moving along to notice of motion. Any notice of motion? No notice of motion. We'll move right into other business. Councillor Cody Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple items for me this evening. First off, I just want to remind residents, as was mentioned by Councillor Moores in the Parks and Recreation minutes, that the Midwinter Biver will be held on February 19th and 20th. Again, with our guest, Snook, who will just be hilarious as usual, and as well with Chef Roy McPherson preparing lots of delicious food and treats and meals, not just for the Saturday night wine tasting and dinner, but also for the Saturday afternoon trail mix, as well as the Friday night reception. So I would encourage residents and non-residents, obviously, to visit the website Midwinter Biver, and that's Biver with 2 V's, so it's BIVVER.com. Check out all the events and make sure you do register before the event is sold out. I want to mention that Joint Council, Exploits Joint Council met last week, and one of the guests that we had in attendance was the new Staff Sergeant Kelly Bryan of the Grand Falls-Windsor RCMP detachment. And I just wanted to say, you know, what a breath of fresh air he was to come into that meeting and talk to Joint Council about some of the initiatives and changes that he has made in the Grand Falls-Windsor detachment just in the 3 months that he has been here. They're not huge changes, but sometimes when you come in with a fresh set of eyes, you see things differently. And because of some small changes, there have been some big results, especially with regards to police coverage is now 24 hours in the central area, which, council had expressed concerns about. Yes, definitely. Council had expressed concern about with the increase in crime in the region. We felt it was very important that we have 24-hour coverage, and this is now the case, and we're so pleased to see that, and I hope the residents will be ensured of and feel a little more secure in their homes and as they're out doing activities, that these changes are happening. There's also, just different things within the detachment is happening. They're adjusting the hours that the office will be open to the general public during the weekday. So a lot of people, I think it was, they could have between 40 and 70 walk-ins a day in the Grand Falls-Windsor detachment, people looking for volunteer purposes, criminal record checks, people just with general questions, people coming in with new babies to get their car seats checked, just different things like that. So they're changing the hours. Sorry, Rogers, I just hit my mic and you probably just got a big blast in your ear. But anyway, those changes are coming, and it's going to make things just that much smoother in the community. And they've also talked about, they encourage residents, a lot of times when we see something going on or we're not sure or whatever, they encourage residents to always call the detachment to report anything that they see going on. They want you to be as specific as possible. They do like for you to leave your name. However, a big misconception when you do leave your name in the detachment is that name is going to be passed on, or you're going to be asked to go to court, or if it's a complaint against someone in your neighborhood, that your neighbor is going to find out it was you who made the call. And that is not the case. The call, all the information, the contact person, depending on, the circumstances of the call, the person making the complaint can remain anonymous. So it's good for stats for them in all their record keeping. It helps when they go to government, like we have been doing, to lobby for more services and more officers. The stats, they have them then to back up what they're saying. So encourage residents to continue to call the detachment with any complaints or questions, or when requesting additional services, make sure you do make those calls. I want to talk about we talked a little bit about in our committee of the whole minutes, the public engagement session that's going to be happening here with regards to the provincial budget. And we've all heard about the massive deficit that the province does find itself in. And on the government website, or the public session, I should say, first, will happen here on February the 1st. It's going to be held at St. Joseph's Parish Hall. And it's going to start at 6:30 p.m. and Minister Alan Hawkins will be in attendance for that session. So I would encourage as many residents as possible to get out to that session. If you're unavailable to attend that session, and I would encourage residents to participate in this as well, on the government website, so gov.nl.ca, if you scroll down your page, it's on the left-hand side of the page. It's also on the right-hand side of the page in a block. Our Fiscal Future, and it's a dialogue app. And if you click on that, you can register and you can submit your own advice or suggestions or comment on the suggestions that others have made. There are tons and tons of suggestions on there already, and all different categories. It's very easy to use and maneuver through. So I certainly would encourage residents to get on that, and even if you don't have a suggestion, read what the residents and the members and business people and taxpayers of the province are suggesting. It's very interesting to see the ideas. There's such a vast array of ideas and suggestions that are going on there. So I'd encourage residents to certainly check that out. We talked about regionalization and decentralization and things like that. those topics are actually already on that website, so I would encourage you to check that out. And just one more thing for me, and I'm sure Mayor Manuel is going to talk about it, and we talked about it already through the resolutions, but the by-election again for March 8th, with nomination day on February 16th. I would encourage residents to please get out and support your candidates of choice, I should say, because there are 2 vacancies. It's very important to exercise your right to vote. And like I said, there's been significant interest, 7 declared candidates already, and rumors of a handful more for sure. Whether or not come nomination day, they'll actually walk through the door and sign the papers is yet to be seen. But certainly such an important service that you do for your community as a councillor, and I would certainly encourage anybody who is interested in running for municipal politics to visit us here in Chambers. We have a couple of declared candidates here this evening, which is nice to see. They're getting a good taste of what they are hoping to get themselves into for sure, with a fairly lengthy meeting this evening, and I'm certainly not helping here tonight by going on and on, but anyway, it's great to see such significant interest, and the work is appreciated by the residents, and you hear that more than you hear any negative comments, although sometimes the negative do kind of get projected a little louder, but you know, the support is definitely there, so please be nice when they knock on your door because it's cold, and they don't want to be trudging through snow and ice. Unfortunately, this is the time of year for the by-election, so good luck to all of the candidates who've declared so far, and for any more to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cody Davis. Councillor Morse.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just got one. I'm not going to be not as long as Councillor Cody Davis. The AGM for the Heritage Society is on Wednesday, January 27. It's at 7:30 at the Town Square Mall on High Street. It's a public meeting and everyone's invited. And it will be the election of the new board, or the board. So they're looking for new volunteers, so we ask you to show up tomorrow evening at the Town Square Mall, which is the Old Bay building next door. So we invite you to come along and get involved in the Heritage Society. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Morse. The Old Bay Building, hey?
Yeah.
I bet you a lot of people are scratching their head over that one. I remember it. I remember it. I remember thumbing through the albums and the 8-tracks. That's right. It is fitting. Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Morse. Councillor Pinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. After Councillor Davis, I will be short and try to be anyway. First of all, I'd like to speak about Councillor Mercer, and he's decided to step aside, obviously for reasons that are his own. Just like to thank him for his service. We've had some good knock him down, drag out arguments, and we've had some good laughs along the way. And he's going to be missed, but we've got some fine people out there to select from, and look forward to working with them. It's a bit of a team effort here, as all councillors around the table know. We spend a lot of time here. If any of you are looking to come in here, it's a lot of time. So, no, we enjoy it, and we're not such bad people, to hang around with. Except for the deputy mayor. No, I'm joking. Also like to welcome our new director of Parks and Recreation officially to our first meeting. And we spoke a lot about the outgoing director of Parks and Recreation, but we're looking forward to working with Keith closer. He's already had our ear a few times, and so good luck, and we look forward to working with you closer than what we've been working with you before. It was pretty close before. The 25th anniversary, encourage people to definitely give us your ideas. I kind of look at this as kind of a come home year, and a kind of a sort of let's bring the town together as one town. I'm tired of hearing this, two separate towns. We're one town. We've been one town for 25 years. I think both sides are definitely better off as being amalgamated town, and this is the year that we should strut our stuff, because we've got a lot to celebrate. We have a great little community. Crime is low. We have some issues. We always will. But we have a great little community. I encourage people to support this. And the glass is not always half empty. It's definitely half full. And this one, I think it's full. I think we're going to have a great year. I'm really looking forward to it. So I encourage them to participate with any ideas. A little bit of a sad note, I suppose, that everybody's heard in the news this week about what's been happening in a community on the east coast of the province regarding sexual harassment. And, you know, it's kind of, to me, unbelievable to hear in 2016. I mean, it sounds like 1716 to me. It sounds just unbelievable. But I have to say that, you know, that our fire services and things here that I don't think I'm pretty sure, I will say that 100%, I'll be absolutely shocked, like a lightning bolt hit me, if any of that kind of stuff is happening here. But it is going on in parts of the province, and it's very sad to see. I think as a council, well, we would not stand for that kind of thing within our own, with our own organizations. But it's kind of sad to see, and I hope that municipal affairs and the human rights people in that really nip this one, because it is embarrassing not only to obviously the communities involved, but embarrassing to the whole province. And hurts our tourism industry and everything else. So it's kind of a sad thing to see, and I hope that it's definitely looked at. I don't want to beat this one to death about rezoning of the mill property. I read the same article, and I didn't want to chime in because Councillor Finn was on a roll, and I didn't want to ruin it. But yeah, the rezoning of the mill property, some people are concerned that we're sort of blocking another industry from coming in, and I don't think we're doing that at all. And you know, I think we're doing it for the protection. And we can always change it if need be. I can't see a need being because, I mean, the area on that river really has tremendous tourism potential. And we're interested in the fiber. We love seeing heavy industry, obviously. We'd all like that. It's kind of difficult. People say, how come you can't get heavy industry in here? Well, you got $30 million in your backside pocket, you can combine an open industry. And that usually goes, oh, never thought of it that way. But that's generally what we're up against. So the rezoning of the property, I think, is for the protection of Grand Falls-Windsor. And this is the reasons, and I'll, you know, comment what Councillor Finn, and I echoed those, and I agreed with those sentiments. And pretty well, I said it wouldn't be as long as Councillor Cody Davis, so that's it for me today.
You're close.
Was I?
You're getting close. Thank you, Councillor Pinson. Deputy Mayor Finn.
Thank you, Mayor Emanuel. I too would like to congratulate Keith Antle on his appointment as director and welcome him to the first meeting. I'd also like to publicly thank Councillor Rodney Mercer for his service to council. It's a pleasure working with him. I wish him well in his new, also important role as executive assistant to the Premier. So it's not a small role for him to take on or anyone to take on. And I'm sure in the ways that is possible that it will be some kind of advantages to the town of Grand Falls-Windsor over time. So maybe we all look forward, or for certain we all look forward to working with Councillor Rodney Mercer in his new role as we continue with our good work and trying to develop our partnerships with the province and the government. So congratulations to Councillor Mercer for sure. I also wanted to comment a little more on the remarks made by Councillor Cody Davis and the Mayor with respect to the RCMP. And I do not understand there is a new sergeant, a staff sergeant, I guess that's the title, yeah, thank you, that's taken up the position, has been proactive and engaged with the communities around the whole exploits region. That's positive to hear. And have made some changes to improve, to get our service of RCMP coverage up to 24 hours. But I'd just like to also go on record say that it's good that, changes are made in terms of scheduling. And there's obviously he's seen some opportunities and sees them in terms of how he deploys those resources. But our position has always been, and I support, that our region is underrepresented in terms of the number of members per population and caseload. And we're under, and we've had a position that we're understaffed by a full unit, which I believe is 6 members.
Correct.
And that's in comparison to the level of service that's provided by the RNC in Cornerbrook and in St. John's and Mount Pearl and Paradise, and these, in terms of how the model they use to respond to their population and the size of the population. So while there are changes, and we're encouraged by them and by being kept in the loop in terms of the changes, the foot is not taken off the gas or the accelerator in terms of what our ultimate goal is, which is to get the right amount of service here. And that is number of people. Because the number of cases per officer is still higher here, and I submit, without knowing what the cases are, that if you have a higher number of cases, you can't get the work done in any reason why, and there's work that don't get done, and that's ultimately what happens. And that work means your stolen property, your damaged property. It could be an assault, it could be lots of things, work that's not done or not done well. So I just wanted to add that, and I know by the nods and acknowledgement from our mayor and Councillor Cody Davis that you agree, and that your comments didn't mean that you didn't support that. So I just wanted to say that. I also want, for the benefit of council, to let you know that the tender closed today, although for the brass plaque that will go on the new cenotaph when it's refurbished on Memorial Grounds. And it will, and the cenotaph will be ready for July 1st. We're not ready to award that tender tonight. The tender results are in, and we have some review to do on the results in terms of whether or not the low bidders can meet the specifications. And the specifications, or the plaque itself, did include all the additional names and corrections by working in partnership with the Legion to get that work done. So I just wanted to say that for the benefit of council tonight and certainly the public. I also wanted to comment a little bit on some signs that some of the public have been noticing around town, which is the speed signs. I believe we have 3 up, one on Main Street, there's one on Harris, and there's one on Cromer. And I want to tell the public, because I know council already knows what it's all about, but we've had them in our meeting rooms, and I think some of us got clocked at 3 kilometers an hour at one time. But leaving. What? That was leaving. Yeah, leaving. We could have been leaving. Yeah, it's a little slower coming in. But anyway, so those have been mounted for some period of time, and they have been on, even though they haven't been reading a display. And so they're operating in a stealth mode that gets a baseline of information in terms of what the traffic patterns are, in terms of speeds on those sections, and the signs, and they're mounted right next to what the actual speed limits are on those sections of street. And so they're on now, and you see a lot of braking around those signs, people. And the results, so what council can get from this here is we can, we have a baseline. Here's what the average speed is on a given day over whatever period you want to review it, and that's when it's before they're turned on. And when they're turned on, what is the difference? Like, what kind of an impact does it make to have such a sign, which is only deterrent, by the way? It doesn't issue traffic tickets automatically. It's a deterrent. Well, it doesn't issue traffic tickets, and that question was posed to me. Am I getting a ticket in the mail now if this is 40 and I'm doing 45? I said, no, it's not. But I will say, more results will come out over the. We'll move them around. These are not meant to be exclusively in the position that they are. They're meant to move around town, and so council can address with traffic speeding concerns in areas where we have traffic speeding concerns. So they will move around, but preliminarily, and I'll say this without saying the data has been not fully qualified, but I will say that in one of our, let me say first of all, the signs I said they're on Cromer, Harris, and Main Street. Just on Cromer Avenue, if you were to take the actual speed limit of 40 kilometers an hour, 90% of our population speed. if you go, I mean, that's if you go over 1 kilometer, but that's not reason, that's not how tickets are issued or really how it's evaluated. But the, if you take, you know, if you, in a 40 kilometer, like, the speed limit by Centennial Field is just changed to 40 kilometers, and we changed, the council changed that speed limit because it's a recreation zone. A lot of kids cross the street there, they're using skateboard park, they're using Centennial Field, and it is a zone, not a school zone, but it is a recreation zone. So in the last year, council changed that zone. So to 40, and it comes off Cromer Avenue, which I believe is 50. Cromer's 50, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So just around that area, 40% of our driving population just last week do greater than 50 kilometers an hour in a 40 zone. I'd be scared almost what the results are in a school zone, which is a 30 speed limit. So, so I just want to talk about what those signs were. It's just meant to be a public education, a deterrent. It's not meant to ticket you, but it is. We do want, speed zones are lowered in certain areas for various reasons: school zones, business zones, narrow streets, dangerous intersections. And so this is another tool council deployed to help get compliance on those speeds so that ultimately nobody gets hurt or fewer people gets hurt, so we minimize that risk. So I just want to talk about that tonight, Mr. Mayor, and that was all I had. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Mayor Finn, and just following along that point a little bit, my understanding too is that those signs are mobile. So they can be moved around and will be moved around. I mean, obviously everybody knows there's a number of streets in town, I would say multiple streets that experience speeding, if not all streets, at some point, and we'll do our best to move those around, and maybe even something we consider for future purchases for additional signs if they bear any fruit, which I believe that they will. The RCMP, yeah, as Councillor Finn said, and certainly not taking anything away from what Councillor Cody Davis had to say, because I'm extremely pleased with the fact that there's going to be 24-hour policing with the resources they have. But it's an important point that the Deputy Mayor brought up about the fact that they're doing the 24-hour policing with the current resources, and we're certainly going to continue to look for the increased resources that are still required. And I'd also like to point out, and I know no one here meant any slights or anything, but Staff Sergeant Brushett, who was the last Staff Sergeant, we had very good communication with him as well, and I know Les did a great job for us as well. As always the case, you bring in new blood, and they've got different approaches in that, and we're seeing that with Staff Sergeant Brian. But Les as well was a great guy to deal with, and I know did a good job for us with the resources that he had, albeit limited. Received a letter today from Central Health that I just wanted to draw attention to, and basically, without reading the entire letter, it's from the President and CEO, Rosemary Goodger, and once again pointing out the great response of our fire department here in Grand Falls-Windsor. And on December 27th, they had an incident at the health facility where I believe a sprinkler head was jarred loose, and there was God knows how many gallons of water pouring into the facility and potentially creating an emergency situation. And of course, our fire department were on hand very quickly and worked very diligently to get the situation under control, help ensure that there was a limited amount of damage. And this was at a time on December 27th where Central Health employees, of course, long weekend, Christmas weekend, took them a little while to get some people in. So it was nice to know that they appreciate the efforts of our local fire department. And it seems like every meeting we got accolades coming in for our fire department, and deservedly so. Just want to point out that our friend Wade Thompson has his annual muscular dystrophy curling fun spiel coming up on February 5th and 6th weekend. I was talking to Wade today. He's got 21 teams registered so far, but there is room for more teams. And of course, anybody who's curled before, especially in those fun spiels, it's a great bit of fun, and you're definitely going to be supporting an excellent cause in muscular dystrophy. So good job by Wade, and you can contact Wade at 486-3343, or you can find him on Facebook as well if you'd like to inquire about putting a team in that fun spiel coming up. This past weekend, I mentioned that I had attended the Cataracts Wall of Fame ceremony, but prior to that, I had the privilege of going to the curling club where the Special Olympics provincial curling was going on. And I went out a couple hours early so I could watch some of the games, and some of my friends were curling. Tony Kritzis, of course, a good friend of mine. Tony was curling amongst others, and glad to report that the Exploits Hurricanes, and Tony was on that team amongst others, won the gold medal. And they beat the team from St. John's in the championship game, gold medal game. And I've said it before, and I hear a lot of people talking about it, but when you go and you experience the Special Olympics and you watch these athletes compete, and you see the spirit of sportsmanship and the enthusiasm and the fact that it does not matter one bit whether they win or lose. They like it, yeah, but they're cheering each other on right to the end. And there's always runs through my mind how there's a lesson to be learned for everybody. And I played sports my whole life, and I've coached, and you know, it's too bad that...
You weren't competitive, though.
No, I wasn't competitive at all. But it is too bad that we see all too often, you know, the ugly side of sports and sportsmanship. And the Special Olympics really shows the spirit of sport. And I love going out there and attending those events. And I had talked to one of the organizers there and told him that we would certainly get our new Parks and Recreation director to look into what it would take for us to maybe host a provincial event or the provincial Special Olympics some year down the road. We definitely had the facilities here to do it, and I think it would be an awesome event. So I wanted to congratulate them. And the last thing I'll mention, and it's been mentioned numerous times tonight, and you'll hear a lot about it all year long. It's our 25th birthday celebration, Grand Falls-Windsor. Councillor Pinson mentioned it. I mean, we're two former towns of Grand Falls and Windsor, and both towns have such a rich, proud history. And now we're one bigger, better, and stronger community, and we've been together now for 25 years, and this is an opportunity for all our citizens to celebrate 25 years of Grand Falls-Windsor, and I certainly encourage everybody to keep an eye out for the events that are going to take place, the contests that we'll have on Facebook and the other social media sites, and participate. And we do have a lot of participation in our community. I expect no different. And I'll just note that the 25th anniversary Facebook post that went out on Friday afternoon, I believe around 4 o'clock, it now has almost 1,000 shares and probably 300 comments, and I don't know how many likes, but almost 1,000 shares. And the town is giving away, by the way, by sharing that Facebook post, a prize package which includes a flat screen TV. So you can go on the town Facebook page and share that post to get your name entered into that, and there'll be lots more of those fun contests to come as the year progresses. So happy birthday, Grand Falls-Windsor. And with that, I will call for a motion to adjourn. Deputy Mayor, seconder, Councillor Cody Davis. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.